All right, let's talk about those moments. You know the ones. The moments that are so completely, unbelievably chaotic, you feel like you're in a movie. Well, have I got a story for you? It's got friendship, it's got a road trip, and oh yeah, it's got a little bit of spontaneous combustion. The perfect recipe for disaster.
But before we get into it, I gotta ask you something. Think about your best friend. I mean, really picture them in your head, the one you've known forever. What do you think is the real bedrock of that relationship? Is it trust, shared interests, mutual respect? All that stuff sounds good, right?
Wrong. It's a long, and I mean distinguished, history of shared bad ideas. That's the real glue, isn't it? It's all those moments where you look at each other and your brain is screaming, this is a terrible idea, but you do it anyway. That's where the memories are made.
Which brings me to our cast. First up, we've got Jake, our driver. Jake's a human stress ball, a guy whose baseline anxiety is set to, I think I left the oven on. Then there's Lena. Lena sees a dumpster fire and doesn't call 911. She pulls up a lawn chair. She's the chaos enjoyer. And then there's Toby. Now, Toby. We'll get to Toby.
Now, you gotta understand, this isn't their first rodeo. Their friendship is basically a magnet for mayhem. I mean, their track record is legendary. You got the 2019 camping trip where the quote-unquote waterproof tent turned into an indoor swimming pool, or 2021's shortcut that was really just a 4-hour scenic tour of every dead-end road in the state. So for today's adventure, they decided to up the ante to, a car fire.
So get this picture in your head. The day is perfect. I mean, too perfect. It's cinematic, a bright, brilliant blue sky, the sun is shining. It's the kind of day that's just begging for something to go horribly, hilariously wrong.
And right on cue, someone utters the famous last words. Hey, is something burning? And there it is, a tiny little wisp of smoke just curling up from the passenger side floor mat. A small, innocent fire has just been born inside a moving vehicle.
Our driver, Jake, immediately short circuits. The sweat just explodes on his forehead. I mean, it's dripping off his chin. His hands start flapping around the dashboard like he's trying to fight off a swarm of bees. He needs a tool, a weapon, something to vanquish this tiny flame.
And in this moment of pure, unadulterated panic, he grabs the first thing he sees, a greasy burger wrapper. Yes, to fight fire, he chose its #1 fan, more paper. He starts frantically slapping at the little flame, which is kind of less like putting it out and more like giving it a little greasy, encouraging pat on the back.
Now, inside this tiny, smoke-filled car, you have two completely opposite reactions happening at the same time. While Jake is having a full-blown meltdown, someone else is having the time of her life.
Let's just look at the stats. Jake's panic level is at a solid 100%. But as his panic goes up, Lena's amusement level also hits 100%. She's not screaming for help, she is howling. Just this deep, uncontrollable, disbelieving laugh as she watches her friend try to beat a fire to death with garbage. And Toby? Well, Toby's involvement is, let's say, pending. He's just watching the show.
So the burger wrapper, spoiler alert, made things worse. The flame is now a small, confident fire. This is when Jake decides it's time to escalate. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now officially at the opening ceremony of the first ever Flaming Towel Olympics. And Jake's logic here is, it's a thing of beauty. Step 1, acknowledge that your first idea was a complete and utter failure. Step 2, grab a much larger, more absorbent item, a towel. Step 3, use said towel to soak up the fire, creating one single, much larger fire. And step 4, the grand finale, yeet it. Just get it out.
There's a correct, sensible procedure for this. The driver's manual says pull over safely, use a fire extinguisher. But Jake wasn't reading the manual. He was going for the Oscar. He chose cinematic.
And this is the moment. He yanks open the sunroof, lets out a primal scream, and just hurls this now fully engulfed towel into the sky. And for one single glorious slow-motion second, it's magnificent. It's a flaming comet arcing beautifully against that perfect bright blue sky, leaving its own little smoke trail of defiance behind it.
10 out of 10 from the judges. Gold medal in vehicular pyrotechnics. Inside the car, everyone's ducking. Lena is laughing so hard she can't breathe. Toby just slowly puts his hands up like, I surrender to the universe. The sheer audacity is just, it's off the charts.
So the flaming towel of destiny lands somewhere in a ditch.
The immediate danger is over. Jake finally pulls the car over, his heart pounding out of his chest, and they all just kind of fall out onto the side of the road.
So, let's run the checklist. Car is stopped, everyone's safe, Jake is wiping sweat off his face like he just wrestled a bear, Lena is literally doubled over crying from laughter, and way off in the distance, you can just see this lazy little wisp of smoke rising up from a ditch. The feeling is just pure, exhausted, hysterical relief.
But as the adrenaline starts to fade and the laughter dies down to exhausted giggles, they all kind of look at each other. The car's okay, they're okay, but one very important question is just hanging there in the air.
Yeah, what was the source? What was the tiny spark that set off this whole ridiculous chain reaction? And there's this long, dramatic pause. Jake looks over at Lena. Lena looks back at Jake.
And then they both slowly turn their heads to look at Toby, who's just standing there, looking incredibly sheepish.
And that's when they see it. Turns out, when he was getting in the car, Toby had accidentally dropped a still-lit cigarette onto the floor mat. He's the fire starter. Jake was just the panicked pilot. Lena was the hysterical audience. But Toby was the architect of the whole thing. And he's just standing there, holding up a new cigarette he'd just lit, with this look on his face that just says, "My bad."
So what's the big takeaway here? Should you always keep a fire extinguisher in your car? Yeah, probably a good idea. Should you stop going on road trips with your friends? Absolutely not. Because the real lesson is that the worst ideas make the best stories, and those stories are what hold friendships together. Just maybe make Toby put his cigarettes all the way out next time. Thanks for listening.